Today we are going to define about the projection of solids. So basically the solid classified into two types. One is called as a prisms and next will be represented as a pyramids. So solids are nothing but the three-dimensional, and in the particular engineering graphics, so we are going to use majorly the solid in the terms of prisms and the pyramids itself. So the prism is nothing but so where the top and the bottom bases should be in the same shapes, but in terms of a pyramid, so the bottom will be in terms of a shape, but in the top, so it will be represented with a point and which is nothing but apex. So whatever the shape of a basis, so that what we have, so it will be defined with a respective name. For example, if we have the base shape as a triangle, then it is called as a triangular prism. If we have a square, it is a square prism, same as a pentagonal as well as a hexagonal. So similarly for the pyramids, but for the pyramids we have only one basis and the next one was an apex point. So whatever the shape of the base that we consider of a particular solid, it will be represented in terms of that particular pyramid. For example, the triangular base shape, it will be referred as a triangular pyramid. Similarly, square, pentagonal, and so on. Basically, in the projection of solids, the axis also plays a major role. The axis will be defined as it's a line which starts connecting the centers of the two bases, which will be referred in terms of a prisms. In terms of a pyramid, it's a line which starts connecting the center of the base of a as well as the apex point. So this will be referred as an axis for the pyramid. So before stepping to the main theme over the projection of solids, so let me recapitulate that what we step on until now, that is from the points, lines as well as the planes, because only with the help of these things we can step on whatever the problem that we are going to survive in the solids. So what it says in the sense from the so whatever the thing was happened with respect to HP, so we can observe in the front view and it has to be projected on the vertical plane. And whatever the thing was happened with respect to VP, so it will be observed in the top view and it has to be projected on the horizontal plane. That is from the points. And from the lines, if we need to define any true length of an object, similarly if we need to make an inclination of any object with respect to plane, then definitely that should be parallel to the respective planes. Finally, from the planes, if any object was parallel to any one of the plane, then the same object will be represented as a perpendicular to the next plane. So these are the three things which will be useful to survive of each and everything when you're going to succeed in the solids. Let me start with a small question. Draw the projections of a pentagonal prism, base 25 mm side and axis 50 mm long, resting on one of its rectangular faces on the HP with the axis inclined at 45 degrees to the VP. So this was the particular thing. So based upon this, now we need to step on the projections of a pentagonal prism. So which is nothing but the front view as well as the top view. As it defined that it was a pentagonal prism, so it should consist of the top as well as the bottom bases, and moreover it is in form of the pentagonal shape, so it is represented as a pentagonal prism, and the base of each and every side, it has been represented within a 25, so we can also make it as a rectangular pentagonal shapes, and it has an axis. The axis is nothing but here we can define it was on a height of an object or height of a prism, which is of a 50 mm long. So now as per the thing that what we discussed from the planes, so first we need to get the position. So without getting of a position, so we can't satisfy the condition of an object. So now what the thing says that, so one of the face, it has to be rest on the HP and the axis inclined at 45 degrees to the VP. So based upon this, so if we get the 3 points that what we discussed in the previous thing, if anything which we have to make an incline, then definitely it has to be made initially as a parallel to the respective plane. If you are not going to make the axis as a parallel, then we can't make an incline with respect to VP. So let us have the hint here. So now if we observe that, so it has been stated that as the axis is to be inclined with the VP, in the first view it must be kept perpendicular to the VP. That is, the true shape of the base will be drawn in the front view with one side on xy plane. So we say that so as per our discussion in the previous instance, so if we need to incline of any object, so it ought to be parallel to the respective plane. But now what the hint has been stated that so we need to make the perpendicular to the VP, but actually it was not the case. So what we stated in the sense from the projection of lines, if we need to incline of any object, then definitely it has to be in terms of a parallel to the respective plane. Now we are going to have the base in the front view. So with the notations as a A1, A1, B2, C3, D4, and the E5, and we are going to have the projectors to get up the top view. So it was a top view projection with a height of 50, which is nothing but the axis of 50 mm long. So this says that we have observed in the top view, and where the representations of this particular pentagonal prism in the top view, in the sense it will be in terms of a rectangular block, and which is in form of notations of A1, B2, C3, D4, as well as E5. So why we need to place in this manner? So we say that if this wasn't a case, then whatever the discussion that we have done from the points, lines, and the planes, it should be a wide. But actually that was not a case. So what the thing lies in the hint here in the sense, so that what we call it as the change of position method. So which plays a very important key role in the projection of solids. So without understanding of the change of position method, so we can't define so why the thing has to be represented in this manner. So initially, as per our discussions, that what we discussed in the previous things, so where if we need to make an inclined, that was for example it was on an axis, then definitely it has to be in terms of a parallel to the respective plane itself. That what we have done here. So this was an initial position. So we are going to place of a pentagonal prism, so in such a manner that the axis has been parallel to the both the planes, which is with respect to HP as well as with respect to VP. So we can't place in this manner initially, because if we place in this manner, so we say that this was on an axis which is parallel to the HP but not the parallel to the VP. So we need to place the axis as a parallel to the VP itself. For example, if we place an object which is parallel to the VP and perpendicular to HP, in the sense, so if that was the case, then what the front view should be in the manner, in the sense it should be in terms of the rectangular block in the front view, and in the top view it should be the pentagonal base shape. If we place the axis which is parallel to the VP and it was a perpendicular to the HP, if that wasn't the case, then what the thing will be like, in the sense if we observe the question where one of the rectangular faces, it has to be rest on the HP. So if you place in that manner, in the sense when the axis was a perpendicular to the HP and parallel to the VP, then we can't place the rectangular face on the HP where we can place the base on the HP. But what the question says that so we need to place the one of the rectangular faces on the HP. If that wasn't the case, then definitely we have a scope so to place in this manner itself. In the sense, so we need to place the rectangular face on the HP, and moreover where the axis is parallel to both the planes with respect to HP as well as with respect to VP. So where we satisfy the position of a cushion, and where we can make an inclination and we can get the final projections of the given pentagonal prism. But the what the thing was happened with the help of the initial position, in the sense, so why we need to use the change of position method. So without using of the change of position method, what the thing will happen, in the sense, so we need to make an inclined the axis with respect to VP 45-degree angle. So let we have an inclination. So if you are going to draw a line at any of an XY and with an angle of 45, and we are going to place whatever the axis we have, we are going to place the axis distance which was on 50, and we are going to draw the rectangular. So that what we observed in the top view. So when we are going to have a projections in the front view, so we need to draw a pentagonal shape, because when we observe the view in the front, so we can observe the basis which is in form of a pentagonal shape, but we don't have any more sources in the front view, because where the source in the front view is in form of a rectangle itself. So as we have a rectangular source, so we can get only in terms of a rectangular shape, but we can't get any pentagonal shape. So to have a pentagonal shape, then definitely we need to proceed with one of a different strategy, that why we are going to step on to the change of position method. If we don't have a change of position method, then whatever the thing we have made an inclination with respect to VP, so as we are going to observe the pentagonal basis, but we are not supposed to draw in the front view. So for that only the particular case, to have a pentagonal view in the front view, where we need to supposed to proceed over the change of position method. So now with the help of this initial position, position, now we are going to change the position. That's the reason that what we call the change of position. Position in the sense, so how we can define the position in this particular manner? The position has been defined with help of the axis itself, because the axis itself it plays a major role, and moreover with the help of a rectangular faces also. So the major criteria, so with the help of the axis itself we have defined the position. So we need to change the position of an axis in the sense, so we place it was on an axis which is parallel to both the places. Now what we are going to do in the sense, instead of making of an axis which is parallel to the VP, now we are going to make it as a perpendicular to the VP. That's the reason then we can clearly state that where the position has been changed. If you are not supposed to change the axis which defines the initial position in the sense which was in a parallel to the VP, then we are not supposed to call it as a change of position. Now what we are going to do in the sense, we need to change the position of an axis. Instead of making as a parallel to the VP, we need to make it as a perpendicular to the VP. Then it says that, so where we are under the change of position method. That's the thing that what we have done here. So after change of position method, so in the front view, so we can observe the pentagonal shape bases, and in the top view, so we can observe the rectangular block. And moreover, so we have done for two notations, because as we have a two bases, so we have done it as a dash 1 dash, b dash 2 dash, c dash 3 dash, d dash 4 dash, e dash 5 dash. In the sense, a dash, b dash, c dash, d dash, e dash will represent the one base, and 1 dash, 2 dash, 3 dash, 4 dash, 5 dash will represent the one more base of the prism. So if we observe the top view, it says very clearly. So this was a rectangular block, and this was the one of the base, and this was the one of the base. And moreover, so we have drawn the E5 as well as the D4 in terms of a data, because when we view in the top view of this particular object, so we can observe the longer edges of a dash 1 dash, b dash 2 dash, and c dash 3 dash, but not the e dash 5 dash, d dash 4 dash. Even though we have a longer edges of these two things, but we are not supposed to observe these long edges. That what we call it as a hidden objects. The hidden object has to be represented in terms of a dotted lines. If we have a line at any one of the point of the xy with an angle of a 45 degree, so now we are going to place the rectangular so on the particular 45 degree incline. That it says that, so it was on an axis inclined at 45 degree to the VP. So actually it has to be represented to the axis, but we are going to represent at any one of the longer edge, because as the axis was a parallel to all the longer edges in a particular prism, so we can place the 45 degree to the any one of the longer edge. Now let me have the same thing. So whatever the diagram we have here with the same dimensions we have represented with an incline of a 45 degree. So and moreover the notations are similar to the thing A1, B2, C3 and D4 as well as of a E5. So now we are going to have the projectors from the top view, so to get of the final front view, so which is from the one of the base as well as one of the top bases. So after having of a projector from the top view, so we are going to get the locuses from the front view. So as it was in a pentagon, we can get the pentagon from the sources of the pentagon. So that's the reason so why we need to get in this manner. So we are going to draw a locuses, and we have an intersections here which is an A1 dash as well as a B1 dash, C1 dash, D1 dash as well as the E1 dash, which is of one basis. Similarly we are going to have for the next bases, so 1 1 dash, so 2 1 dash, so 3 1 dash, the 4 1 dash as well as the 5 1 dash. So finally we are going to have the connections of a bases as well as for longer edges. So let me have the things. So from 1 dash to 2 dash as well as a 5 dash. So and moreover we are going to make of a dash to the 1 dash, and let me complete of all the things. So we are going to make of the connection of a bases as well as of longer edges. So this was the final thing. So now if we observe the final front view, so now we have a few dotted lines here. So what it means that, so when we view in this manner, so which is in a front view of this particular object, so what it says that other than the C3, so whatever the objects we have, it will be observed, because so where as the observer has viewing in this manner, so where the C3 longer edge which is away from the observer, which is far away from the observer, so he can't observe the C3 in a clear manner. So he need to place the C3 longer edge in form of a dotted line. And moreover, as the C has been connected with the B as well as the D. So if we observe in a front view of this particular change of position method, the C was in a connection of a B as well as a D. So as we are not supposed to observe the C, so we are not supposed to get from the connections of a B to the C as well as a C to the D. There's a reason why we have represented the basis of a B dash to C1 dash as well as C1 dash to D1 dash in form of a dotted. Similarly, the C1 dash to the 3-1 dash as a dotted. Even though we have an object, but the observer felt it was a far away from him and where it was a difficult task to get the things. That's the reason we have been represented in form of a dotted lines. And in remaining everything else, we are represented in form of a thick lines because which is near to the observer and which has been observed of each and everything in detail. Thank you.